Eliminate the workplace excuse. That's what leaders do. This is the Career Blindspot podcast. Today's CBQ, Courtney.
Oh my.
What should a leader who's not planning on being an expert in AI know about AI that you would say makes them more credible?
Ooh, that's such a good question. So I feel like the first thing is this lesson that I learned myself. I thought I knew so much. And then I went to somebody who knew more than me and I learned from them and I was like, I know nothing. But I was so excited about the fact that I knew nothing because these things that I never thought would be possible for me to do all of a sudden were possible. And it was so exciting. So I feel like embracing the fact that you don't know everything and relying on other people to kind of tell you things and not pretending like you know it, but really, if you're interested in it, like getting engaged and asking a bunch of questions to figure stuff out, that is so fun. That led me to build a website for a city project that I'm working on that has this really cool chatbot and all these different things. And I am not a programmer by any means, but I was able to do that with AI because it was something you could do.
Yeah, let me recap this. So as Courtney, who, in terms of your average person, friends, family, coworkers, probably, 5 months ago, knew a whole lot about AI in comparison. But then not just you went to someone, you invested your time, energy, a little bit of money in Polly. Feel free to plug that.
Oh, yeah.
Because she taught you, well, first I remember you said, I know nothing, after you did like her welcome course. But the concept of embracing the unknown or being curious, whereas a leader who's like, their mind is already made up about AI, good or bad. I mean, bad is definitely, you're missing the boat, but also you know everything, which is going to play more into the second one. I think that you're going to say around like quality or safety. Someone who already knows everything probably is not the best person to lead any type of initiative.
Yes, I agree. I have found this over and over again. The people who really understand AI at a technical level are the people who have been in programming for years. So the people who've been in programming for years are used to, you do A plus B to get C, but it's a whole different world now. You can just skip right to C and have a mock-up today in an hour. Like, if you are someone who knows everything about it, I don't think that you should be a leader of it because you're stuck at this point.
You the curse of knowledge.
Yes, the curse of knowledge.
You know how the sausage is made.
Gross.
So you might not be, no, I mean, that's the thing, that you might not be the best person to lead the restaurant or go over the menu with the patrons.
Unless you're ready to really embrace the unknown, because it's gonna change hourly, weekly, daily, monthly, quarterly.
Yeah, it's funny.
All the time.
This kind of aside, but I'm not the expert in either way. I'm more cheat off the expert, or leverage, I should say.
There you go.
I was telling Courtney this morning that I'll make images on AI, like the Blindspot model. I was making mock-ups. We'll have a human that we compensate make a final one, but it was loading. And I could see what it was loading. I'm like, this is not what I wanted. And then it would finish finally, and it looked nothing like what was loading. And then you pointed out you think it's working like how the internet used to work or
dial-up
download.
internet, where you'd have to wait for it to load each section.
My first thought was like, oh yeah, I am old. Like that is an old way of thinking of how images work. So I kind of already assumed, but feel free to tell me if I'm wrong. Yes, embrace the unknown. Take some risk. Okay, so I already kind of assumed safety and quality control would be the next item that a credible leader, at least in your eyes, would have. Embrace the unknown, but also be responsible. How would you? What are you looking for when you see a leader who is not an expert in AI, but approaching it in the right way?
Boundaries. You got to set up some boundaries. Do you know what the term shadow AI means?
No.
Okay. So shadow AI is what most people's employees are doing right now. They are working their 9-to-5 jobs, but they are actually going to ChatGPT to write emails or create documents for them because it's a huge shortcut and it saves them time. And you absolutely should use it like that. But if your employees don't know that they can't upload sensitive information, or they don't know necessarily what's considered to be sensitive information, you've now put that out and it's scrapable on the internet. So somebody can actually go out and say, give me this information, and it will actually scrape and pull it and put it in
So I'll correlate that to something more simple, or maybe not simple, familiar, and still a problem. A lot of companies still don't have social media policy and regulation. And so when your employee posts something and you didn't have any rules on it, they didn't technically do anything wrong, but you might be having a problem that you could have avoided if you set standards and expectations or
Yes.
whatever the term is. So really, Courtney's saying the same thing, but this is, I don't want to say more dangerous. No, probably. It's like throwing stuff out the window,
Yeah.
and you're just giving it to the internet,
Right.
that other people can now factor in. So unless you're, it's like writing your name on your underwear or something. Like it's not gonna protect it fully, but if you're not, it's actually, I think the other thing you're saying, or the obvious thing is, you might be using it safe and responsible. Courtney's already jumping to other people aren't. But I think even you, what are you uploading to the internet, and have you set boundaries, guardrails, etc.? Is that fair?
Yes. I feel like I should say that's probably the first thing that I would say. People who want to be involved in AI that are leaders, you need to go learn about safety immediately and put those policies into place, because everything else flows a lot smoother if you have that going.
Yeah, it's funny. I'll revisit this in a couple of months, maybe years, but I have used it for emotionally challenging situations, and there's a little feature. I use ChatGPT, which who knows if I'll stay on that, but I like it so far. But there's so many other options, which is overwhelming. But again, that's why I talk to the expert. There's a feature which it's a in the top, it's like a little circle, and like it doesn't save it. Doesn't save the
Temporary
information.
chat.
And so I'll ask like, "Hey, Courtney pissed me off," and blah 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 blah. Like, but it also I did put it into the machine, and it is very helpful. I take it with a grain of salt. Talk to my therapist about it. Like it's a machine that is intended to give you the answers that it thinks you want, or. But my point is, like, I had this. Should I really be putting this out there? You know, and.
I mean, the temporary chat's great, but you should also go into your settings on any AI and then turn off that they can use your data to train their model.
Well, you did that for me.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, like, that's a security, like, day one kind of thing. Go
Yeah.
turn it off so that they can't use your data, and then if you have something a little bit more sensitive, put it in there.
And something, kind of a sub, and maybe a conversation for a different day, depending if the audience is interested. Part of the course that Courtney did with Polly, what was the name of the course?
Polly Allen's AI Career Boost. Highly recommend if you want to learn at every level.
There's a certain audience out there, I think women in particular, assistants, project managers.
Yeah.
So it's not, hey, you need to be this technical expert, but you should, it's like being a good driver doesn't mean you have to be a great mechanic. And I think she's teaching people how to vroom vroom. So the other part of that, though, is something you've done for me in degrees is, hey, Juan, the next time you want it to write a podcast, this or an exercise, the quality control, so less safety, but still you need to be more specific and clear of my brand colors, this and that. And so now when I hire an intern, or not hire an intern, hire someone else and onboard them, it's already in there.
Right.
It's going to be like, hey, you're saying Myers-Briggs instead of DISC or something. It can keep the high quality of your standards when you're not even around. And
what you're talking about is, this article came out yesterday, or I got an email yesterday from Simple AI talking about how the future is not tracking like data and numbers to do analytics. It's tracking the why behind decisions so that everything is collected. So if somebody leaves the company, they're not starting from scratch, and just knowing what all the decisions and the factors that went into it. So it's really interesting. I love that you did that today.
And so let's end on this.
Failure. The number 3 thing is you're going to fail. You're going to do something wrong. Something's going to break. Something's not going to work well. You're going to build something and think, oh my gosh, I built the whole thing. And then you're going to be like, oh, but everything's in a Google Doc or a Google Sheet. So don't do that. Like, you need to actually have it built. But know that you're going to fail, and fail. Like, fail hard. Figure it out. It's the fastest way. You don't have to tell anybody how hard you failed. I mean, if you're me, I'll tell everyone how hard I failed. But just be ready to fail. It's something brand new, and it's okay not to know everything.
Well, and I don't think it's okay not to know everything. I think you can't know everything,
right.
And if you're not going to start, and if you're going to act like you do, you're really not going to do anything with it. And this is not just AI; it's learning in general. And we are using the word fail, but because I think of like Legos, putting the Lego, they can break apart. But most people are like, I'm going to build what's on the outside of the box. But then there's other people who build their own things, and it's really cool. But there's no right or wrong, and I'm sure they get frustrated too, if not more, of like, oh my God, it broke. How do I put it back together? There were no instructions. But failure is also just a negative version of the word learning.
Right.
And so it's like learn fast, fail fast. That's startup vernacular from the last 15 years.
Agile.
But I think especially with AI, because it keeps changing fast, the updates, and that's not necessarily good. Like you just said recently, ChatGPT's update was troubling. Will be nice.
I didn't like that last update.
And
yeah.
when I've seen multiple articles from people who we don't know, or I should say post, that I follow, people say interesting things, and I want to see what the Claude is the one that's catching on. So the point being is like there is no perfect end, and that's just good life advice. But for a leader, you're trying to build things, like plan on things not going right, but also what's the business thing? I either win or I learn. Yeah, it's douchey, but it's really true with AI. Otherwise, you're going to miss out, and something's going to come and eat your lunch, or opportunities that were like way closer than you ever thought would have solved some problems for you, so you actually can go work on bigger problems. So, lastly, call to action for, again, the average non-expert in AI, but who's using it, who knows enough, maybe they consider themselves a novice. Anything you suggest that they do to help them be better leaders with AI?
I think really start with the safety and set up your boundaries and then move on to everything else. But start with that. If you're leading people, you need them to be safe. You don't want your special ways of doing anything to come out in light.
Yeah, use protection. I'm practicing being a parent. Was that not funny? You seem disappointed. I can say something else. No, we'll see you for the next one.
I make this show for leaders, those who don't point fingers, but point towards ways they can do better at work. My ask for listening is you share the show on social and/or with other leaders, established or aspiring. Until then, no talent, no culture, no excuses.